Welcome everyone, I'm Ryan Ayers and you are officially on air. Volume 21 is all about the UFC and it all went down this past week. All the rumors came true. Dana White and the Fertitta brothers finally sold the UFC off to WME IMG Group for a cool $4 billion. But before that all took place was what was supposed to be the mega event in the grand opening of T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. That was UFC 200. Started about a week ago tonight at this time. And it was supposed to be this ultra ticket that we were just never going to be left disappointed. And in the end, as an avid UFC pay-per-view buyer for the UFC, I was left with much to be desired. If it wasn't for what turned out to be the main event, Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes, it would have been a complete bore fest for this individual right here. The punching bag that Miesha Tate became in the first round of that match against Nunes was really entertaining, seeing her become that said punching bag and bleeding all over the face. I don't agree with female violence, but when it's female on female, that was quite entertaining. And you never know what you're going to get with UFC, let alone men or women. But especially on the women's side, you always get the upset. Holly Holm getting upset by Miesha Tate, but all before that, it was Holly Holm upsetting Ronda Rousey. So without that final match at UFC 200 in Las Vegas, it was going to be the most unbelievable letdown, I think, in UFC history. They built it all the way up. It started off in the spring. It was going to be Mr. Conor McGregor against Nate Diaz. And we had everybody out there in the UFC world, even the average UFC fans, getting excited about that rematch. Couldn't believe what I saw back in March with Diaz upsetting McGregor. So it was going to be that back in the spring, and then McGregor becomes a little bit of a drama queen. Diaz tries to join the club as a drama king as well. That card gets altered, and that match gets pulled. So now we go to the main event's going to be Jon Jones trying to get back his belt against Daniel Cormier. And, of course, just days before the match is supposed to take place at T-Mobile Arena, Jon Jones fails a drug test. Shocking, I know. I mean, when you are loaded with idiots in your brand and in your company, maybe it is a good time to sell. Jon Jones, running from police, hitting and running in Albuquerque, New Mexico a couple years ago. The guy just never seems to be able to get his life in order. Daniel Cormier, I don't think is that great of a fighter, but he wants to avenge that loss to Jon Jones. And Jon Jones, of all the people and talking in the UFC, can't get his life together. So that card is altered just a couple days before Saturday night's big anniversary 200th UFC pay-per-view. So now we go down to Daniel Cormier has to take on an old, aging, out-of-shape Anderson Silva. And that was something that I basically fell asleep with late last Saturday night. That was another one that we were all expecting to have some excitement, and it never came. Daniel Cormier just basically hopped on Anderson Silva and dominated the aging, out-of-shape former superstar. So what we're looking forward to then at that point is the third change to the ticket, and that's Brock Lesnar coming in and taking on Marcus Hunt. And he treated Marcus Hunt like a battering ram. And it was awesome to see Brock Lesnar get back in the ring for the first time in about 5 years. But what comes out this weekend, Brock Lesnar likely, supposedly, has failed a steroid test. So, again, we go back to drugs. Jon Jones failing a drug test. Brock Lesnar failing a drug test. At some point, you have to get your guys clean. You can't keep altering cards every couple weeks when you're supposed to use it as this big, fireworks celebration for your company. So sometimes too much drama can be a bad thing, even in a division of MMA like the UFC. It can't survive like the WWE, led by, John Cena. But like I said, sometimes too much drama can be a bad thing. And you know what? I kind of agree with where the Fertitta brothers and Dana White sold the UFC off to. It was probably their time to do it. Just maybe that UFC has hit their peak. And with all these drug allegations going down with Brock Lesnar and John Jones, it's probably a good time to step aside. And with that, I want to let you know you've just been on air. And I am your host, Ryan Ayers.